evening, everybody, and welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, and my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Hi, guys. Happy pre-Thanksgiving.
Happy
Oh,
pre-Thanksgiving.
Sorry, I suddenly felt like I don't know, I wasn't quite with it when I got started. I was like, something's wrong, but I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to power through.
right. You were awfully polite when we came
You,
up. Good morning.
you were,
I
yeah,
was.
Welcome to
yeah.
Everything Vaguely Paranormal.
I felt like we were in trouble for something there for a
Yeah.
second
I
because you were
know.
so polite.
I don't know. There was something wrong with me. Leave me alone. I've had no sleep. So, yeah. So, anyway, we all got our Thanksgiving plans in order. We all know what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be going and who we're going to be hanging with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spending the entire day in my pajamas watching the Macy Days Thanksgiving parade as well as the Puppy Bowl, and then that's all that I'm going to do.
Hell yeah. I'm going over to Damien and Nicole's to go hang out. So.
Our friends from Parapeculiar. We love that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to my family's house in North Richland Hills to hang out, and there's usually about 40 of us, so it's always fun, right?
Goddamn, 40 of y'all? Shit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us. We all show up.
Good God
we
almighty.
love each other. Leave us alone.
Shit, you're going to go sit in the corner and talk shit.
Yeah, we do.
Thanksgivings and Christmases like that whenever I was a kid when we had like 40, 50 people show up.
Yeah.
That quickly faded.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, our topic tonight is over the Oakville Blobs. Now, do you guys know about this story? It's been featured quite a bit, and it's actually come back onto a couple of series, strange and unexplained series that are on different streaming networks. So I was wondering, do you guys know much about this story?
I remember remember the bathroom readers they used to have, like back in the day. You can get. I remember reading a little bit about that one of those bathroom readers, but I don't remember a whole lot of the story.
Okay.
So,
but you know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm picturing whenever you talk about blobs and Oakville Blobs is I feel like some implants were falling from the sky or something like that. That's what I got.
That could be a theory. Who knows?
Was it just implants that were removed and people were chunking them out of cargo planes or something like
that? Well, there are a lot of theories and a lot of stories, and I've decided that I'm going to follow one particular person's story, person that did the most documentation on the actual weather event. One of the things I find the most fascinating about this story is that it happened during our lifetimes. So, yeah. So if you guys are ready, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So, most people don't think much about rain unless there's too much or not enough of it. And for most people, it's a minor inconvenience. A few drops falls on your head or it messes up your freshly washed car. But on August the 7th of 1994 in Oakville, Washington, the rain was different. It started out like any other rainstorm. Thunder echoed through the sky and bright bolts of lightning created a stunning show. And then the rain began to fall. But it wasn't droplets of water. It was something else entirely. Now, Oakville is a quaint town in Grays Harbor County in the state of Washington, just 40 miles from the Pacific coastline. It sits along Route 12 and is surrounded on all sides by deep forest. Now, fun fact, in 1994, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the population of Oakville was 666 people. I randomly went to look up, see what the population was, and it popped up. I go, oh, okay, that's fun. Let's throw that in there.
And also 1994, already a fucked up year. So let's just throw that in there.
So the town was secluded and quiet. And this is what appealed to Sonny Barclift. Now, Sonny Barclift, had moved from Phoenix, Arizona to the small town in 1993 to be near her aging mother. She wanted to be out of the desert and away from the noise of the city, and her mother's farm seemed like the perfect place to restart and reconnect. Now, on the evening of August the 6th, Sonny and her mother, Dottie Hearn, noticed that dark clouds were forming. And now rain is not unusual in Oakville. The town averages roughly 150 days of rain per year. And it was part of the appeal for Sonny's mother. And Dottie loved weather and rainstorms. So Dottie took the video camera outside to film the sky as the clouds rolled in. And after filming spending a few moments on admiring the clouds, the two women went back into the house and settled in for the night. And when the heavens opened up at 3 a.m. on August the 7th, most of the residents of Oakville were sleeping, and the few who were out noticed something odd. The droplets that were falling on their windshields were not water. Their windshield wipers were smearing a strange, gooey, gelatinous substance all over their glass. The blobs were translucent and small, but had a jelly-like consistency. And when the citizens of this small town woke in the morning, found their town coated with blobs of goo. Now, Dottie and Sonny woke early, and they had heard the rain falling against the windows, but it didn't sound quite right. It almost sounded like hail, but a little softer. So Sonny went to the window and peered through the glass, and the rain looked like it was thick. She thought it was strange, but proceeded on with her morning routine. And when the storm blew over, Dottie took her little dog outside. And when she came back into the house, she told Sonny that, and I'm going to quote this from her interview, she said, "There is something strange all over the top of the wood box. It looks like hail, but I touched it, and it's soft." So the women went back outside, and they could see that there were transparent gelatinous blobs everywhere. They were clinging to the trees, on the plants, and the windows, and they slowly oozed down fence posts and exterior home walls. Now, Sonny had worked in the Occupational Health and Safety Department, and she was very curious as to what this substance could be. So she felt it was important to document her findings and to keep a record of the steps she took to research the strange rain. So at 4:30 that afternoon, according to her journal, Sonny enlisted the help of her brother to collect the samples of the goo. Her brother was a paramedic, and both being very safety conscious, wore gloves and carefully scooped some of the blobs into a clean jar. After collecting the samples, Sonny noted in her journal that between 5 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., she conducted tests on the strange matter. She found that it floated in water. She tried to dissolve it in alcohol, but it did not break down. She put a match to it, but the substance did not burn. And she had never seen anything like this before.
Huh.
So you said it stuck around from the morning until late afternoon?
No. Yes, it did. The storm blew over. It was whenever they woke up. The storm was still going, but it blew over fairly quickly. So she doesn't note in her journal exactly what time the storm stopped, but she didn't know she needed to document then. So she just documented when she first saw them, which was around between 9:30 and 10 o'clock in the morning, because the little puppy dog had to go out to go potty. So that's when they noticed it.
It is interesting that it has stuck around that long, though, even like with the heat of the day and everything else, because it seems like it would have evaporated at that point.
So that is a good thing to keep in mind. Okay. So
Okay.
now, on August 8th, she starts making phone calls. She contacted the Department of Agriculture because the goo had fallen on food in people's gardens. And the person she spoke with didn't seem too concerned. She noted he said not to worry about it. Rain will wash it off the crops.
I just had strange goo fall from the sky and land on my fucking potatoes. Like, I'm not, no.
My fucking carrots are ruined. You're telling me the rain's gonna. It just fell from the fucking sky.
Right.
So she called the Department of Ecology and then the U.S. Weather Service, who suggested that she call the FAA Research and Technology Division. But no one seemed to be able to tell her what the substance was. Now, Bill Dunbar was the communications director for a member of Congress who represented the town of Oakville. He answered phones all day long, and he thought that he had heard everything in his dealings with the public. Until he took a call from an Oakville resident asking about blobs falling from the sky. Initially, he thought it was a prank call, until the other calls began coming in, inquiring about the same strange incident. And Bill didn't have an answer for any of the citizens. So, since no one was hurt, all he could say to the concerned citizens was, "We are trying to get to the bottom of it."
That's a great answer for I don't fucking know.
Right.
Like,
That's good
give me
PR.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great PR right there.
Now, at 1 p.m. that same afternoon on August the 8th, Sunny couldn't find her mother Dottie. So she searched the house and she found her laying on the floor of her bathroom.
Hmm.
Dottie was breathing, but she was extremely pale, soaked in a
Hmm.
cold sweat, and barely conscious. Sunny asked her mother what was wrong, and Dottie said that everything had started spinning. She was dizzy, nauseated. So Sunny quickly called 911 and an ambulance was dispatched to the house. And as Sunny and her brother were leaving for the hospital, she realized that her mother was the only one of the three of them that had actually touched the blobs.
Oh.
Hmm.
So she took a sample of the substance to the hospital with her. The attending physician was Dr. David Little. Dottie was admitted to the hospital so tests could be done. Sunny gave Dr. Little the sample so it could be analyzed. When the lab technician put the sample under the microscope, she was surprised to find what appeared to be human white blood cells in the substance. But the ability to tell the actual composition or origin of the sample was beyond the ability of the hospital laboratory. So that prompted the speculation that the Oakville Blobs were concentrated fluid waste from an airplane toilet. But a Federal Aviation Administration
No.
spokesperson said that because toilet fluids are typically dyed blue, giving it the nickname of blue ice. And these were clear.
Right, and it would have melted if it was that sort of stuff, and it would have evaporated at some point. It would have dissipated.
Good
There's no
job.
way that would have stuck around that long.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Good job. You hanging with me here.
Yeah.
So, Sunny shipped a sample of the substance to the Washington State Department of Health. Then she personally delivered another sample to the Department of Ecology. And surely one of those agencies would be able to determine just what fell from the sky. Now, Dottie remained in the hospital from August 7th to August the 11th. And when she was discharged, the final diagnosis on her paperwork said only some kind of virus. That was her official discharge diagnosis. Some
Okay.
kind of virus. Now, Dottie wasn't the only person to become ill. That same week, more Oakville residents became sick, and all appeared to have similar symptoms: headache, fatigue, nausea, and flu-like symptoms. Over 30 people acknowledged having this strange virus that occurred shortly after having contact with the blobs. And even the animals began to get sick. Sunny and her brother found their kitten on the porch and it was dead. And there were no signs of
No.
trauma to the body of the animal. It was just dead. They found pink-colored dead frogs surrounded by the goo. They were flat, almost as if they had been run over, but there were no signs of trauma. And reports began to filter in that cattle and horses were also becoming sick. And Sunny became more convinced than ever that whatever fell from the sky that day had made her mother sick. And she became even more determined to identify the substance.
I like this woman.
Yeah.
This woman is like, I'm gonna do my due diligence. Y'all watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Very,
So, you know,
very Aaron Brockovich.
yes.
Right? Yeah, right.
You know, and you can go online and find copies of, you know, some excerpts of her journal. And she, like, 11:06 a.m. spoke to, has the name, you know, about sub or about goo or whatever,
Mhm.
and it has who she talked to, what time, what they said, and you know, where they told her to look, where they
Right.
told her to call. It's fascinating.
Right. It's something interesting too that you were talking about. You were talking about how these animals are starting to die and how the frogs
They're
almost
eating
look
the
like they were
grass.
flattened. Exactly. They were eating the grass that was covered in the goo. Now maybe the horse and and the cattle, but they're big enough to where it's not going to affect them as bad.
Yeah,
But the
they
frogs
were just getting sick. Yeah.
got that like concentrated dose that could just like
And then you
eaten
have
their
a
insides and flattened them.
Well, and you have a kitten too, which is a small
Right.
And a
dog.
kitten too.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and those were the reports that were documented. Okay. So, Seattle Post intelligence reporter Tom Paulson had heard by this time the strange story of Oakville. And he initially thought that it was some kind of joke. But it was a slow summer day and he was looking for a reason to get out of the office, so he headed to Oakville on August the 16th. He went around interviewing townspeople in their homes about the Oakville Blobs. He was thinking that he was just going to have a fun, goofy story. But while he was there, it started to rain. And blobs once again fell from the sky.
A second time.
The reporter was now a witness. Yes.
Okay.
And that happened in the morning at 11:26, I believe, according to her journal. I didn't put that in there, but she documented that at her house at 11:26, the blobs began to fall from the sky again on August the 16th.
Okay,
And
like
Tom Paulson, the reporter who's there just to do his fun and goofy story, witnesses it.
right, and that makes that I don't know. That's really weird because the first time is weird enough, like an isolated incident, but the second time it happens, I don't
And
know.
one was August the 8th, or August the 7th. August the 7th. The next one was on August the 16th.
Yeah, a week apart. That's
just over. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
So fascinated, Tom Paulson wrote about the blobs, and on August the 19th, the article ran in the Lewiston Tribune stating, this is his quote, "Twice in the past 2 weeks, when it has rained, small blobs of clear gelatinous goo have fallen on and around the home of Sunny Barclift that she shares with her mother Dottie on a 29-acre farm." So now, Tom Paulson was the very first person to break the story of the Oakville Blobs. Initially, he guessed that the stuff could be toilet ejections from toilet ejections from a plane. So Tom himself also called the FFA and McCord Air Force Base, now the JBLM. But neither the military nor commercial aviation officials claimed the blobs. Military says we didn't do it. FAA says we didn't do it. They don't know what it is. Now, I'm going to back up one day because on August the 15th, Kathleen Belanger and her husband had been camping on the beach at Kalela, which is 103 miles from Oakville, when a storm rolled in. The next morning, August the 16th, they got up and took a walk along the beach and saw something very strange. Dead crabs were everywhere. Hundreds of dead crabs. And they were all coated in a strange jelly-like goo. And there were all over the shore. And a few days later, Kathleen and her husband saw the article over the Oakville incident and wondered if there was a connection. So they see the August 19th article, but they were actually got the first part of the August 16th storm that moved over to Oakville.
So it's also doing this 100 miles away. Okay.
Right. And dead crabs all over the shore. And she, in her interview, she's saying there are hundreds and hundreds, that the beach is coated and that these blobs are washing up onto the sand and onto the beach.
Now, were they not covered in this as well?
They were camping. They had been in a tent all night and they were wearing shoes when they walked on the beach.
Okay.
And they didn't touch it. So
like, was it not on the outside of the tent? That's what
she didn't say in her interview.
Yeah.
So I can only go by what she says in that part. So finally, it was about this time that the reports from the agencies began to arrive. And Sonny eagerly opened the envelopes, hoping that the answers were there. The report from the Washington State Department of Health stated that the culture yielded 2 types of bacteria, Pseudomonas fluorescens and Enterobacter cloacae, both of which are found in the digestive tracts of humans and other mammals. Naturally occurring bacteria.
Okay.
Found in humans and in mammals. But they can also be found environmentally when waste has been deposited, and they can travel in water and in aerosols. Now, in contrast, the Department of Ecology reported that the cells of the blobs came from a living thing. The report also stated that the cells were not human white blood cells because they had no nuclei. And the report suggested that the blobby bits were jellyfish. Now, newspapers across the country had a field day with the idea of jellyfish falling from the sky and covering a town. Even the Fort Worth Star-Telegram in Texas ran an article mocking the theory that jellyfish bits were responsible for the blob rain. And they weren't the only ones.
So the rain it's playing was filled with jellyfish brains.
Filled with jellyfish brains, yeah.
Hold on, where the fuck are they getting these? Did somebody nuke some jellyfish offshore that like went up into a fucking cloud and traveled?
Well, where I'm getting to it, right? Okay, so that is what the Department of Ecology says. Oh, the cells don't have a nuclei. It's probably a jellyfish. So on August the 20th of 1994, the New York Times reported that the mystery blobs were once alive after an analysis by the Hazardous Material Unit at the Washington State Department of Health. So they not only took it from health, they flipped it over the Hazardous Material Unit. So they let it test it in one part of the, department and then threw it over to another one.
Yeah.
An agency scientist, Mike Osweiler and Mike McDowell, tested the Oakville Blobs and said they found a number of cells of various sizes. And McDowell reported that the sample was very uniform and had no structure that could be seen visibly or with a microscope. Osweiler's report also confirmed that there were no nuclei present in the cells, so they could not be human white blood cells. This also negated the jellyfish theory. Jellyfish are multicelled organisms like other animals, and the cells contain nuclei, along with other membrane-bound organelles. And he further stated that the kind of life that would lack nuclei would be found in bacteria and archaea. So after a multitude of tests were carried out, it was determined that the two types of bacteria found in the goo aren't too harmful, but could cause minor inconveniences such as skin or urinary tract infections, and infections to the digestive system. And they're not usually a cause for concern if treated. However, the bacteria should not be making people violently ill to the point of hospitalization. The substance's origin, identity, and purpose was officially listed as unknown. Now, according to an article from the Palm Beach Post, dated August 21st, so these are the order these articles are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Dated August 21st, 1994, the jellyfish theory really took off when the townsfolk learned that the Air Force was dropping live bombs into the Pacific Ocean about 10 to 20 miles off the coast of Washington. The theory was that the jellyfish remains were blown up and into the clouds until they were later dispersed in rainfall. And the Oakville residents also reported encountering strange men in suits visiting local establishments asking questions, which encouraged the idea that government officials were trying to cover up the incident.
Mm-hmm. Were they black suits?
That's yeah. So we have a pseudo Men in Black connection happening
potentially.
At the same time. Potentially.
Yeah, because allegedly they're doing bomb testing 10 to 20 miles off the coast in the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
Now, reports of animals like falling from the sky are unusual, but it has happened. Strong storms coming off the ocean, bringing air currents that are extremely strong, can pull organisms up out of the water, bring them aloft, and can drop them up to fish, sardines, frogs, and jellyfish have all been documented in the phenomena.
Back up real quick because we didn't catch how far it got carried. You cut out for a second.
My apologies. Whenever the air currents pull these things up into the sky, it can take them and drop them up to 80 miles inland. That is where they say was the longest that they have documented from where they believe it began to end. It was 80 miles. So it could travel 5, could travel 10, could travel up to 80. That would have to be a very severe storm.
Yeah.
But the jellyfish theory just didn't feel right to Sonny because the strange rain didn't happen once or twice. Between August 7th and August 31st, gooey blobs fell from the sky 6 times.
The hell?
And that was a part of the story that I did not know.
No, I didn't know that either.
And she documented the dates. Now, Tom Paulson was still looking for answers too. And he finally took it upon himself to send a chunk of one of the blobs to a private lab for testing. He paid his $100 and waited for his answers. The lab sent back a report that the substance was polyacrylamide. Polyacrylamide.
Okay.
Now, this is a chemical that's used for various purposes. To prevent soil erosion, as a water treatment, it's used for oil cleanup, and it's even used to stabilize cosmetics. It was another different conclusion. And when Tom was asked why polyacrylamide would fall from the sky, his response was, well, we don't know that.
Again, great PR.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, all the testing done of the substance resolved nothing.
Well, shit.
You have gotten different answers from every set of tests.
Yeah.
Something's fishy.
So in 1997, the story got national attention when the television show Unsolved Mysteries featured the story. Scientist Mike McDowell, now he's the one that worked with the Hazardous Materials Unit. Scientist Mike McDowell made an appearance and explained his findings. Side note, McDowell was never able to get to the bottom of the mystery because his samples went missing before
Of course they
he could
did.
finish his work. So
that often happens.
So he explained his findings, and then host Robert Stack summarized the incident at the end of the segment by saying, I'm going to quote Robert Stack, and I can't do his voice, just imagine his voice. It's impossible to say what the strange goo was or where it came from. Unfortunately, all samples of the substance are gone, making further study impossible. Perhaps the answer will come someday soon when the skies open up over another small community and the blobs once again fall to Earth. And that is how he closed that episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Now, by 1997, the people of Oakville looked at the event as a potential tourism attraction. They wanted to start a jellyfish festival, including shooting jellyfish into the town with a cannon. And the town's tavern had already cashed in and capitalized on the strange event by concocting a new drink, aptly named the Jellyfish. It was made of vodka, gelatine, and juice. But go ahead.
If we know anything, as long as we've been doing this show and as many things as we've researched that happen in these small ass towns, if something weird happens, they're going to take it and run with it and do something cool with it.
Next thing you know, there's going to be a freaking festival just like that.
But eventually, the hype died down. And then it happened again. On April the 8th of 2025, it was a normal day for Allie McCrite. She had just returned home from work when it started to rain. When she looked outside, she saw blobs. It was raining goo from the sky over her Rochester, Washington home, roughly 8 miles from Oakville. Allie told KUOW's show Soundside that the blobs were clear, gelatinous, and about the size of the palm of her hand. She said they had no odor at all. The only thing she could smell was rainwater. So she collected some in a jar. But the blobs all melted at room temperature. Now, Allie had lived in Oakville and realized she might be witnessing the return of the local legend. But just like in Oakville, there were no answers. And no samples were known to be taken or tested. Now, Allie stated, I hope it does get solved. I'm really curious about things and I would love to know. But at the same time, if it's a mystery, it's more fun. Then people can speculate. Child, and speculate they have. And the theories abound. So for those of y'all keeping score, here are the theories. Exploded jellyfish carcasses dispersed into the atmosphere and falling from the sky due to military bombing exercises off the coast. Toilet water from airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
Illegal chemical dumping. Polyacryl. I knew I was going to mess it up. I can't even say it now.
You got this.
Polyacrylamide. Which is
Okay.
that cosmetic stabilizer, right?
Right.
Pseudomonas fluorescein and Enterobacter which are the bacteria that are found in human and other mammals. And the conspiracy theorists have their own ideals as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially after it was revealed by Mike McDowell's sons. Hazardous material, Mike McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
His sons said that Mike, their dad, believed that the goo might have been some kind of carrier system. But he never had any hard evidence to support the theory, because his samples disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And this information prompted theories of biological weapons testing. But such activities by the U.S. military would violate international treaties, so that couldn't possibly have been going on.
Oh, no, never.
No. What are you talking about?
And then there's the theory, and you knew it was coming, that it could be extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
That the remains were products of otherworldly life. And then, of course, maybe it was star jelly. Sounds dirty, it's not.
That's honestly what I was thinking. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, there are records dating back hundreds of years referring to a mysterious star jelly that is found after meteor showers.
Mm-hmm.
And star jelly is a natural and mysterious occurrence that scientists still don't even understand. The theory is that as the meteors fall to Earth, little pieces of gelatinous substance form as they fall through the atmosphere. Star jelly has been attributed to everything from frog spawn to algae and to slime mold. So there are your theories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the ones that I almost could say that I put in. Now, Sonny Barcliffe had kept meticulous documentation and sought answers, but the answers always seemed to elude her. Dottie Hearn never really knew what made her sick. Tom Paulson is convinced that his report is accurate and that the substance was polyacrylamide. I can't even, I had that so good the first time. And he is proud that he broke the story to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it is likely that the riddle will never be solved, especially when Kurt Hart, spokesperson for the Washington Department of Ecology, revealed in an interview that they were prevented from doing any further experiments because the samples were lost within 1 year. So for now, we're only left with theories. And this is a real-life X-file, but the truth remains elusive. So, gentlemen, let's talk about this. That part about Kurt Hart revealing. So when Sonny hand-delivered, remember, she hand-delivered the samples to the Department of Ecology.
Mm-hmm.
And he reveals, and this was in 1994, he reveals the samples were lost within that year. So those samples in August never rolled around to 1995. They were lost from between August and December.
Well, that seems par for the course. Like, how many times has someone had a sample of something that is strange or mysterious and then ends up getting lost in the mail or ends up getting lost somewhere in the warehouse, or it's there and then you go back and it's gone 2 days later? That just seems par for the course. Somebody's trying to cover something up.
So, gentlemen, what do you think it is? What do you think is this crap that fell out of the sky?
There's one. Okay, so there's one thing that and it's with this picture. I'm going to put it back up. That one right there.
Mm-hmm.
That one that has like the little jar. What is that? Salsa jar? Yeah, because I see the Tostitos label on there. Anyways, little salsa jar full of these little gelatinous ice cubes is what it looks like to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if y'all have ever seen, I'm sure y'all have. I mean, we've all had children in our lives and all that kind of stuff. And Shelly, you've been a mom. Mm-hmm. So whenever diapers get wet and they burst open, if you've ever seen one burst open after being wet, that is what looks like to me what remains. So I know that it's a certain powder, I believe, that is within the diaper itself. Hold on, I'm trying to take that down. There we go. And it's very super absorbent. I think if I remember correctly, it can carry up to like 200 times its weight. Like at least per granule or however the hell it carries water absorption and stuff like that.
So that would be the polyacryl. I'm going to just give
polyacrylamide.
Yes.
Polyacrylamide. Yeah.
Polyacrylamide.
Polyacrylamide. There we go. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure because that, whenever you're talking about water absorption and that word, poly, we're just going to call her Polly. Good old Polly.
Polyacrylamide.
Polyacrylamide. That's the first thing that kind of came to mind. So I'm wondering.
How's it in here?
Well, if it's a powder, if it's in a powder form, could something be going on? And this is probably where the cover up could possibly be coming up. That it quote unquote disappears and nobody has answers or anything like that, because you're going to the Department of Ecology, the department, all these departments and everything like that. I would dare to do some research on what is in the area factory wise. Who is using what in the area factory wise?
So the main
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the main industry there is forestry.
Okay, I don't know if there's.
Like I'm with you, man.
No, go ahead.
Say to me, it seems like some sort of industrial thing. Like somebody is doing something, maybe illegally dumping or illegally pumping some of that, or maybe there was some sort of containment issue at a factory somewhere, and that could have gotten up into the air somehow. I'm with you on that.
Yes, polyacrylamide is used in forestry for several purposes, primarily for improving seedling survival and enhancing soil stability, because it helps soil erosion.
For soil erosion, that is one of the uses.
I'm wondering, because it creates the gel forming that substance, so to speak, if that would not dissipate whenever at room temperature, because it would have to be able to survive to help soil erosion. It's going to have to create some type of polymer at that point.
So my question becomes to you, if that is the case, if that's the theory you want to go with, it happens 6 times between August 7th and August the 31st, and it does not happen again until 2025 in an isolated incident. Why would it suddenly not happen anymore?
We would have to figure out what was going on in the area around Oakville between August 7th and August 16th.
Right.
Or August 30th, whenever it ended.
Between August 7th and August 31st, it happened 6 times.
Was there a huge agricultural shift during that little block of time? Were they doing a lot of forestry work where polyacrylamide was used a lot? If so, what form was it in? Was it in a dust form that was getting up into the atmosphere and staying up in the atmosphere? Maybe it became trapped somehow. The rains come in. It absorbs water as it falls, and it falls to the ground as a gelatinous substance. Doesn't melt it at room temperature. That's the only thing that gets me with the 2025 one.
That's right.
The 2025 one does dissolve at room temperature.
And I saw that Sunny did nothing special to her samples. I didn't see anywhere where she said she kept them in a refrigerator or anything. She said that she collected them in a jar and began testing.
But what if it's a newer version? It's a new and improved version that actually does dissipate somehow. Like it has like a fail-safe or something where it does at room temperature.
We're talking 30 years.
Right. So it could have been.
Would have changed in the industry, I'm sure, to probably make it a little bit more eco-friendly or safe or something along that lines. But I think I think this is a possible cover-up, because I think when you start asking questions about things affecting the environment and everything from big companies who are doing a lot of business, well, if they're a big name in and of itself, they're going to make that shit disappear. Of course, we're not getting a lawsuit slapped on us. We're not in charge of these pets dying, these people's hospital bills. And I mean, look at friggin', you joked about it, Ryan, but look at Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah.
And the whole damn, what was it, Hinkle situation with the water being poisoned and how much they had to pay out for that shit. Send Aaron Brockovich in there. I bet she figure it out.
She probably get dude. Yeah.
Here's where the back pay.
So if you think it is this chemical, how do you there were 2 different labs that said that there were bacteria found in humans and in mammals in it.
But in order to get it into maybe a canister that it was being used in, maybe perhaps humans did handle it in order to move it at some point, and maybe that's where they were getting that.
But these bacteria are only found in the digestive tract.
That's right.
That's true. I mean,
so my question is
2 different labs also said that
right.
there were cells without nuclei in them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it just depends on who you want to trust, because you have 4 different labs saying 4 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, if there are cells with no nuclei in them and it behaves like this polymer we're talking about, that would make the most sense to me. Like, because, if you have, but then again too, I don't know, like you said, there was some living, or I don't know, like I said, it's hard to figure out who exactly you want to trust in this situation.
What I found interesting was one of the big report that they put up in the Washington, in the New York Times, were the 2, Osweiler and McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found interesting was that Mike McDowell believed this and had told his son that theory, that he thought that it was actually trying to figure out if they could weaponize it. And to me, that 100% makes the most sense. You have these, testing or, training going on, dropping bombs into the ocean. Of course, you're going to vaporize, aerosolize these things. And when they carry over, the first batch is what gets people sick. I didn't find anything directly related to any batches following that got people sick. It was the initial rain that got people sick.
When you were talking about it, the first thing that popped into my mind, you know what cloud seeding is?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that popped into my mind. Was it some sort of like primitive version? Because I don't know when they started doing that. I think it's like barium and something else they use to like create clouds and cause rain, so they can study the effects of rain. So that was kind of where my mind was going initially. So what if that's the case? What if they were using that polymer and seeing what its effect on a community, like cloud seeding over that community, to see what would happen?
Well, and Mike McDowell's theory sounds really, honestly, sounds like spycraft. Sounds like it's probably the most logical thing to me. It's a way that they could give just enough confusion. Again, these people, they've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But if the U.S. military was trying to weaponize something, that they literally could just put in there and suddenly it spreads in water, it spreads through the air, it spreads in rain, and making it some kind of carrier device for some kind of weapon. If it starts to rain and people start to die, who are you really going to be able to blame that on? How do you know who did it? That is like a 100% zero interaction conflict. So I think that that's actually pretty brilliant, and I think that's definitely in the realm of possibility. And his samples mysteriously disappeared,
right?
Like McDowell's did. So
they did, and like Blake was saying, like if there's that's where the cover up comes in. Like if somebody is polluting the environment somehow, they could get in a whole lot of damn trouble. So what better way than to make those samples disappear, like somehow, like let somebody a few dollars, and it's like, oh, okay, well, all of a sudden the samples are gone.
Yeah, and yeah, he reports his samples disappear, and it was the other guy from the Washington State Department, which was both. That's where Osweiler and McDowell were also researching. That he says those samples disappeared within the year. August to December 1994, within the year. That short time frame. Where'd they go? Where'd the samples go?
I gotta go with the. No, okay. Here's my other question. Is because to talk about, like, as investigators, when we're investigating certain things like this, paranormal, unknown substances, and everything, we have to look at every angle. If we can reasonably give a logical explanation, then
Right.
you know, we typically lean towards this is a normal occurrence because somebody has
it's
come up
Occam's
with a
razor.
logical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So my question is when it goes back to the forestry stuff and the polyacrylamide being used in forestry, and then you have human bacteria within these samples that can only be found in basically the digestive tract. My question is since, and I just looked it up, sodium polyacrylate is a form of polyacrylamide, whether that word, that
You got it right.
that is used in diapers, that is super absorbent. And so my question is what were they using during this? Was there a forestry project happening in the area in 1994 around Oakville and again in 2025? If so, what were they using? Were they using compost of any kind? If so, did this include possible unusable, quote unquote, unusable diapers? If so, did an actual diaper that made it to a home, to a child, an infant, or whatever?
Remember, the bacteria is human and mammals. Could it have been in fertilizer? You said composting.
True.
Could they have been using fertilizer? Human and other mammals.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm going to have to say that this is, for me, this is leaning more towards like an ecological cover up where it's somebody was doing some shit that they shouldn't have been doing. This crap was getting into the air through the powder substance itself, and that was hitting with the water droplets that are in the atmosphere that we all know are in the atmosphere. Since it's super absorbent, 200 to 300 times its weight is what it can carry, and then all of a sudden it comes falling back to Earth. Well, sodium polyacrylate is toxic. Not in like minimal forms, you know. I mean, you have to ingest quite a bit of it, or play around with quite a bit of it, or things like that. But it will cause blockages in your digestive tract. It can, because it's super absorbent. So if it gets into your system, we're made of fucking water. What's it going to do?
Which would explain why the frogs went flat.
Right.
All the moisture being sucked out of them.
All the moisture gets sucked out of them. So I'm thinking that the cover up on this doesn't have anything to do with anything paranormal. I think the cover up on this is going to be to save someone's ass.
Ecological.
From getting in a shit ton of trouble. Now, whose ass that is? No idea.
Could be the military's ass. Could be
the military's ass.
A lumber company. Could be a forestry company that cuts down everything.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I think this reeks of like just bad industry to me. This is what it sounds like. Somebody is illegally dumping something or has put something out into the environment and just doesn't give a shit. And then all of a sudden they get caught and they're like, oh shit, we fucked up.
But then again, I have to throw back to you, Ryan. 7th to the 31st.
Right.
And it never happens again. If this powder is widely enough dispersed for it to rain 6 times and rain blobs of goo between August 7th and August 31st of 1994, why does it suddenly stop? You can't tell me that.
Well, because like we were talking about, if there is forestry work happening, if there is some company, some lumber company or something that's doing something out there in the forest around that area during that time, and they're spraying this chemical out, when they stop spraying the chemical out, the blobs stop happening. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Do you think that they would have known that they were responsible immediately? And because, again, if you are spraying out a chemical, you aerosolize it, and it goes everywhere. I'm not even sure if that's right. I'm making shit up now. But it goes everywhere. It's going to spread if you are spraying something, even beyond where you're aiming that to. So,
I mean, but the wind currents, it could have been just close enough to the town, and the wind currents carried, and like whatever, that polymer somehow condensated and was able to form rain clouds over that particular area. It could have just been like that close to that amount, to that town, and not gone any further, maybe.
So can we then throw in the 103 miles away from Oakville, actually on the beach on August the 15th, when
that's true.
It rolled in and it just came in over the beach?
They could have been doing the same thing close to that beach.
What was going on with the weather patterns at that point?
Right. Exactly. So like, I mean, where wind direction.
In my opinion, we would need meteorological data from that, because you're talking about Washington. Washington statistically,
150 days a year.
Statistically gets more rain than any other state. I mean, they link weather and depression up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what was happening with the meteorological patterns at that point?
Right.
The other thing is there's probably a reason why we go from 1994 to 2025. You then need to go look at when were certain things passed in government for regulation purposes, for endangered species acts, and then again, when were they repealed? Because those things were repealed. Deregulation of these companies and industry was happening within the last 8 years. So when did those take effect? What was able to be used again since the deregulation of these industries? That would explain your 30.
That's a real good point.
Right.
Yes.
Because like, a lot of EPA protections have been rolled back. Exactly.
Because a lot of shit went into effect in the early to mid 90s. Well, mid 90s, really, more or less, about protection of the endangered species,
the environment,
the environment, and in agriculture and stuff. Well, a lot of that over the last 8 or so years has been being deregulated and repealed, and allowing certain things to happen again. So you would need to go look to see if polyacrylate or polyacrylamide was
acrylamide,
that long. Poly. I'm calling that bitch Pollyanna. You need to go look to see when Pollyanna was said you can't use that anymore, and when it was deregulated, because that would explain.
That's a good point. Because you're right. That's I hadn't
call me Nancy Drew, bitch.
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy Drew. I got you, boo. That's a good point. Deregulation, because in the 80s everything started getting passed. Save the environment, save the animals, all this stuff, and it was started in the 80s and it was passed in the 90s, and a lot of things got changed. And you're right. There's and there's been a lot of things that have repealed and departments that have been dismantled.
Yep.
Right.
You know what? That was a theory that I did not even put in my brain. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
So the cover, it's for me, it's a fucking ecological disaster cover.
Right.
That's my explanation for it. The reason why it can be explained over a certain period of time is what was going on during that time near Oakville in the forest, specifically in the environment, agriculture, and the forestry industries. What was being used during that time, because we know Pollyanna was used for soil erosion.
Polyacrylamide, now I can say it.
Not Pollyanna. Yeah. Her bad bitch's name Pollyanna. And so what type was it? Was it a powder? Was it being drafted or wafted up into the atmosphere 103 miles away? What was going on meteorologically? What were the wind currents? All of that kind of stuff. What ended up happening, down in that area? And then look at your regulation and deregulation of environmental factors and what can be used and what can't between 1994 and 2025. I think you're going to find your answer in all of that.
So we think that Tom Paulson, the writer who broke the story, actually did get the answer by taking it to an independent lab. And I found that interesting. He was the only one that sought out an independent lab. Sunny gave all of her samples to government labs. Department of Ecology, Department of Health of Hazardous Materials Unit, Department of Agriculture she called. All of these were sent to government-run places to be tested. And Tom Paulson, went to an independent lab. And he believes that he has the answer. And he even states in the article I read that he's like, I found it. This is what it is. I believe this is what it is. And so, you know what? Tom Paulson may just have been correct.
And Blake Smith, too. We did have a comment pop in real quick. I'll throw it up on the screen. It says, months after the incident, the U.S. Navy confirmed it had been conducting military drills off the coast.
Yes.
I don't know if that's for the 1994 or the 2025.
That's for the 1994. They did confirm that they were.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, they did. I actually mentioned that when I was saying about the August 21st Palm Beach newspaper article that they confirmed that they were doing military tests 10 to 20 miles off the coast.
Oh yeah, that's right. With the jellyfish bodies.
That's where the jellyfish theory kind of took off. That's what they were saying, that they thought that's where they were, because they found out that the Air Force was dropping live bombs into the Pacific Ocean 10 to 20 miles off the coast of Washington.
I can't get behind that. Jellyfish parts flying through the air getting sucked
I
up
can't either.
Just say the lumber baron is sitting in his office going, "Yes, jellyfish." That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
What the hell did poor little jellyfish ever do to them? Stop it. Leave jellyfish alone. Although I don't like them. I've been stung by one of those. You ever been stung by a jellyfish? That's horrible.
I have not been stung by a jellyfish. No.
Got stung right on the back of my leg. Just barely grazed that tentacles, because that thing stung for probably 3 days. God, it hurt. So leaves like a little lashy looking welt on you wherever it touches you. Disgusting.
I'm gonna be honest. Out of all the years that we've been doing this with all of these unexplained mysteries and stuff like that, tonight's episode was one of the first ones that I feel hella fucking confident on my answer.
I think you should.
I like I said, I think you're right, man. I think it's some just industrial bullshit.
I will tell you. I will give you the credit. You have convinced me enough to consider that yours is probably the most likely answer. Again, easiest answer is usually the correct answer. Most obvious answer is usually the correct answer. And you and Tom Paulson, I think you may have it right. I think that I did not consider the deregulation. I didn't consider that.
No, it was aliens. Come on.
You're right. I think it was aliens. You're right.
It was Steve the alien.
Yes, it was.
No, it's Steve the demon. It's Arthur the alien.
It's Dave the alien. That's what he was named. Alyssa Ladebor named him Dave the alien.
Oh, Dave the alien. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Who named him that?
Alyssa, our
that's right.
viewer that we give shout outs to, that
Yes.
One of our regulars who unfortunately passed away.
R.I.P.
Yes.
She named the alien who is responsible for all the fuck ups, Dave the Alien.
That's right. Okay. I like that name. Let's go with that. Okay, that's exactly right. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, gentlemen, final thoughts on Oakville Blobs?
Somebody is in deep shit. That's my final thought on it.
Right.
Ecological disaster that somebody was trying to cover up. And I
think
Aaron Brockovich should get on the case and pay some people some money.
I think once it hit the paper, they realized, oh shit, we're about to be in a lot of trouble, and they stopped spraying it. And that's why they stopped, why it stopped raining blobs in the area. So
yeah.
I think
and
that's
sorry,
exactly
guys, we're all going to love each other right before Thanksgiving. There will be no argument for me. I am in agreement with Tom Paulson and with Blake. I think it's polyacrylamide. That just seems like the most obvious answer, and that is an ecological issue rather than anything else. But it's probably really the aliens.
It's probably really.
And with that, Blake, why don't you tell them everything they need to know?
All right, we got a few announcements before we wrap this up, so bear with us here just a second. If you want to support the show directly, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/EVP podcast. For just $5 a month, you unlock over 450 Patreon exclusive videos, including the pre and post broadcast, which are the 30 minutes before and the 30 minutes after this live broadcast. So you're getting an additional hour with us every week. Your support from this goes directly back to the show and towards the adventures that we bring you week after week. If you are not sure about joining Patreon, try it risk-free with our 7-day free trial. Make sure you stay connected with us. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and many more by searching Everything Vaguely Paranormal and looking for that green sound wave. And remember, you can catch us live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. Please make sure to subscribe to our Eventbrite page to be notified when public investigation tickets go on sale, because we're about to be planning out our 2026 public investigations, and we're going to be releasing tickets a little differently this next year. And yes, we are attempting to take you to places outside of Texas, so be on the lookout for some different venues in 2026, as there will be a heavier focus on our public investigations with you in this next year. Also, don't forget to check out our merch store for all your merch favorites: t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, pillows, hoodies, and so much more. That link is everything-vaguely-paranormal.creator-spring.com. And to make it all easier, we have added all these links to our link tree, which will be on the Everything Vaguely Paranormal Facebook and X profiles Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as well as in all of our show notes. For you audio listeners, or you can search linktr.ee/Everything Vaguely Paranormal. And we are grateful for your continued support. Every like, comment, share, and download keeps the adventures alive. So if you have a favorite episode, share it with your friends. And one of the easiest things you can do to help out our show and its rankings, if you have a Spotify account, head over there and simply download our episodes. That is it. Also, leave us a review wherever you are listening.
Please.
Have a story, comment, or question, or you'd like to be a guest on the show or have us as guests on your show, email us at the evppod@gmail.com. That is THEEVPPOD@gmail.com.
go like, share, and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Put a thumbs up if you like it. I'm having a stroke. I'm so tired I can't even speak. But with that being said, I want to wish you a very happy holiday. And put your phone down. Be present. The people that are there want to spend the time with you. So, and if you're by yourself on Thanksgiving, you're not really alone, message me. I'll answer. And
she will too.
I will. I always answer.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for joining us tonight on Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt. My partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Thank you for being here. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.